Hello Sagittarius, I've been shuffling and I've been meditating and vibing out, getting ready for your July 2025 reading. And I'll start by pulling 3 cards to see what's been going on with you, also what the present energy around you is now, as well as what your upcoming future outlook is looking like too. And then I'll continue by pulling more cards through the reading, but without further ado, let's get into your July 2025. King of Cups, the High Priestess, ooh, lots of magic, and the Magician, yes, very magical. Bottom of the deck is the Judgment card. So a lot of you are coming out of, let's just make this kind of general to start, a death cycle and into the rebirth, an emotional letting go, an ending, a moving away from some sort of an identity of yours, some sort of a dream, some sort of a relationship or job or mission has now come to an end, and you are kind of just dipping your toes into the next kind of creation process, or the imagination part of this, or the vision board, the sort of putting it all together, the curating the next kind of experience that you're going to have, your next era, your next kind of rebirth is what I'm seeing with the Judgment card at the bottom of the deck. The King of Cups is associated with Scorpio, and for those of you who know the tarot, Scorpio is associated with the Death card. So I wonder, is this the recent past talking about this death cycle that's coming to an end? The sort of the shedding, right? The out with the old. You have released, you've made space, you've done the purging, you've done the kind of like, get away from me, get out of me, I'm done. You've broken the cycle, ended the fixation, no more of that habit or compulsion. It's just done for you. And as a result, you have a very deep feeling about, you know, who you want to be. Now the King of Cups can also speak a lot to your very important kind of VIP relationship in your life. That might be with a child, a parent, a spouse, a partner, okay? Might even be with a pet. The King of Cups is the profound relationship that you have right now that has actually required more of your focus than usual. And it is in its rebirth era, so that's kind of a good thing. I mean, death cycle, rebirth cycle, it's always going to feel somewhat intense. So it's in a phase now, this relationship, where it has undergone a sort of substantial amount of focus and work and navigation, right? Do we have anything like that? It's like the seas here. The King of Cups is often like the sailor or the captain of the ship, the captain of your soul, you. But the King of Cups is a force to be reckoned with. It's also a lot to do with psychological regeneration, transformation. You've been picking something apart. Maybe it's been a relationship with a certain very important person to you, picking apart and investigating. What else is scorpionic, plutonic, going deep under the surface to figure out what's really behind it all, what makes it tick, what makes it work, what makes it so addictive or special or sacred or important to you. And if it hasn't been on a relationship, I feel like that might be just a journey of self-discovery that you've been doing, and with it has come like a real sense of like purging and releasing. Now, Magician card's number 1, Priestess is number 2. So what we're seeing here is the sort of, well, we're seeing the beginning of something, going to the drawing board now in July. For some of you, you're just waiting for inspiration to reach you, and you know what, it probably will. The High Priestess is very much of a conduit. She receives, she sits back, she trusts. The Magician a little more. Well, if High Priestess is yin, this is yang. This is a bit more about doing something about it, right? Taking action. But first, I think I think yin might be the chicken before the egg, or is it the egg before the chicken? But I do think it's the yin feminine counterpart that creates first, or that receives the vision, or that becomes the vessel, the channel, becomes the container, gives this idea, this goal, this vision, this next sort of conquest of yours. It is the sort of incubator, it's the womb, it's the space and container for this to grow from. And I think July is very much about you being, or continuing to be for some of you guys, in this sort of creation space, or in this sacred container. You're setting the tone for what you're wanting to take action towards and build and grow next. The Magician card is very, very much about doing something about it and using your tools, your insights, your education or your knowledge, using your passion, using your money, your will to create, to make magic. But it's about a new-ish beginning for you. I mean, this hasn't really taken form yet, maybe quite loosely, but maybe only in an imagination kind of space. Okay, so let's bring it back to the King of Cups and see what's coming through there. Sagittarius, you're the last sign that I've read for in this series. Thank you for your patience. I would invite you to subscribe at this time if you haven't already, and like and share, comment on this video too. But if you want to have another bit of content to watch this month, or even checking out from last month, every month I release an extra piece of content, like a tarot reading or tarot and astrology for each sign, and I'll link that private community down below. There's loads of other content on that, like on the regular, on the daily. Okay, wow, the Moon card and the Four of Wands. I think this for me illustrates the point that I made about going to the subterranean, to the subconscious, like the Moon card, and our fears, our vulnerabilities, our weaknesses, going to the places within ourselves that quite often we keep hidden or keep kind of in the dark, right? Maybe it's something to do with shadow work, sort of self-examination, and actually the realm or the arena of relationships is a great place for this to happen, especially if you're with somebody who can be brutally honest with you. I know you can handle that, or who you can be brutally honest with, and they're really kind of is a very like fertile ground for growth. And that's the Four of Wands. I mean, this growth isn't like, it's no longer, maybe at one point it was when you were in more of like a kind of a death cycle. The rebirth cycle is more gentle. It's definitely impactful, like this Four of Wands. There's certainly action here, but the fours, and this is a fire energy, so there is certainly a sort of a like oomph with the Four of Wands, but because it has four associated with it, it immediately makes it contained, stable, enduring, and gives a tone of peacefulness or ease with it. And it's Venus, so there's certainly a little bit more of slowness associated with it now. You're able to walk through this door together. You're able to take this opening, to take this opportunity to stabilize, but also to grow, to, if that makes any sense, I don't know. It's a perfect ground for growth at your own pace. It's like the perfect setting that you've established now with this person, I think, with this family member, with this love interest, whatever it may be, where the limitations of each other's, like, you know, the buttons that you can and can't press, or the understanding, you know, there is a certain amount of like, we get it, we know where the four walls of this relationship is, like we know now what feels safe and what we can contain this in. And I think, you know, relationships are always evolving and growing because people are always doing those things. But there seems to be a sort of security net around this relationship now. And I think it's basically because the work you've done on yourself, Sagittarius. But it has been like Scorpio kind of work, right? If the Sagittarius I'm thinking of is listening, you'll know this quote because I think you actually addressed it or alerted me to it, the Ram Dass. The best thing I can do for you is work on me. The best thing you can do for me is work on you. And it's so true. It really, really is paramount. So there we go. You've set up a really, really nice safe space for growth together because you've gone to the trenches, I think, especially within yourself. Okay. I think this is a little different now, the High Priestess and the Magician, okay? I think that you are... The High Priestess, straight away when I see the High Priestess, I'm just like, shh, receive. I'm gonna put it into practice. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna be the conduit. Okay, the Nine of Wands and the Empress card. Okay, some of you are creating a sacred space to literally birth something into the world. So we've got cards 1, 2, and 3, 2 and 3 of the major arcana. So this journey is the first step, the Fool. He's not here yet, or maybe at all. That's 0. So the very, very initial part of this, the taking the chance, just the belief that you can, the risk, the leap of faith, that part might have already been done. But the whole vision hasn't fully come alive yet, nor have the necessary actions been taken. The Empress card is majorly growth oriented, of course. She reminds us to be so present with this because you may not know it, but probably you do know how important this is, how sacred, how lovely, divine, beautiful, how amazing this time in your life is. So she does remind us here to be present with this process, present with what you're building, present with what you're birthing and growing. So some of you are quite literally this month getting ready to birth something into the world, or maybe like the womb we spoke about, she's holding a baby here, but she also speaks to, you know, abundance and just pouring something forth into the world, in essence, from yourself. So there is a lot to do with that sacred space, that container, the womb sort of archetype. It's got to be something that's safe. The conditions have to be pretty aligned with what you're growing. It also has to be, you know, fear doesn't sit well there. You know, what else wouldn't? Scarcity wouldn't sit well in this space for you. It just wouldn't align with the Empress and the High Priestess. So I wonder what way you could try and combat any of that. Haha, the Fool is actually very, very close by. So you've already visualized the timeline. You've already imagined what this will be like, and you've actually already had a sort of emotional response to this, I think, like the excitement and the positivity and the expansion, right? But then you kind of think about it and you say, Nine of Wands, you're like, can I do all this? Like, am I going to have to take a break? Am I going to have to sit down? Will I really bring this to the finish line? Like, is this something that is actually going to be done and completed by me? And that's the Nine of Wands. And if anything, the Nine of Wands says, definitely don't give up now. A lot of you are at the start of this anyway, so you are going to gain so much either way from this journey, but just being present with it rather than focusing on your outcome just yet. This is a really sacred and special time in your life, Sagittarius, I think. So that's not to say you can't do anything about it, because the Magician card is telling you that this month even more so towards the end of the month, you possibly will take a very meaningful action. Okay. The Nine of Swords and the Devil card and the Hermit at the bottom of the deck. Last person or last group of people I've read for, I haven't seen so many major arcana cards in a reading, I don't think. This is a really important time in your life. There's a lot going on, there's a lot happening, and it's not all super soft and fluffy. The Nine of Swords and the Devil card is a lot to do with what's coming up for you that is quite scary, a little fearful, yes. And I'm hearing illusion with these two cards, because obviously all is not what it seems here. It's just a branch, not a scary hand. But when we're kind of panicked or filled with anxiety, we're definitely not seeing things clearly. The Devil card, of course, they can get out of this predicament, but it just isn't easy, because the forces that seem to be working against, or the forces that again are an illusion, seem to be quite mighty, or the problems seem to be big for yourself or for another person in your life. Again, maybe you're a Sagittarius with a lot of Scorpio in your chart, because I feel like this just came up in their reading. Some sort of way to combat all this anxiety and fear around making the first move or getting up and doing something about this is actually just to get out of your Hermit card position of overthinking and contemplating and trying to research and learn and know more and more and study. Just do something about it. That could be the Magician card. Take a meaningful action. Just like a sort of kind of like take charge on something, cut through a lot of that uncertainty and fear by having that tough conversation, by addressing the elephant in the room, or by within yourself kind of thinking like, okay, we've been working on the relationships, we've been doing all that kind of work. What have I been ignoring within myself? And it might be on the surface actually something that seems very benign, something that's like, well, that's not really that harmful. I know I do that, but I think it's still fine. You know, I know it's like not the best. I know it's kind of a problem. That might be all it is there, and you just take some sort of a step towards addressing that or acknowledging that. But then actually thinking like, okay, so what could I do? I'll sign up for something this week, or I'll make that phone call I've been putting off, or have that conversation. That kind of is a Magician card approach, you know. It kind of cuts through a lot of the uncertainty and fear that may lead to some sort of like paralysis or procrastination. And in turn, it makes you feel a lot better, because it makes you feel like, you know, you have some sort of, you're actually like a force in this too, if that makes sense, or like you're a player here too in this game. Okay, Sagittarius, I'll leave it at that, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.